Hi, welcome to Book Talk. This is Chris with bookboundboys.com, and today we are going to talk about a nonfiction educational book called Teaching the Trivium, Christian Homeschooling in a Classical Style. So if you've been to my blog at all, you'll know that we started homeschooling in a classical style. And the first book that I read was The Well-Trained Mind by Susan Wise Bauer. Very good book. I will talk about the book at another time. However, several years later, I came across the book we're going to talk about, Teaching the Trivium. And I wish I had gotten to this book first, and I'll explain to you why. As you can see, it is a healthy book. There's like 630 or 40 pages in this book. Now, a large part of this book is the resources in the back. We have resources for curriculum. We have ways to get started with a speech and debate club, pointers on speaking in public, education of the clergy. Haven't read that. So in the back of this book, there are a lot of tools for you to use. That's a lot, right? Don't you think? So you have a lot of tools to use. And what I like about this book mostly, and why I think it's such a good book for new homeschoolers, whether you're thinking about teaching with a classical approach or not, is because this book answers a lot of questions that you just have just getting into homeschooling. And this addresses it in a Christian perspective, a biblical Christian perspective. I've heard a lot of debates, or have even been approached with the idea that maybe homeschooling isn't the Christian way. Some people feel, like for example, if you sign up to a cyber school that's state-run, some people don't feel that that's homeschooling. And that's a whole nother topic. But there is a chapter talking about who's responsible for your children as far as education is concerned. Should you be responsible or the state? There's a whole chapter on that. But I'll tell you some other wonderful, helpful information here. For example, we do get course of studies, which I find really helpful. And a lot of times the whys that you may encounter while teaching that age group. As I was browsing this, it's been a while since I've read this book, but as I was browsing the sections, when you're teaching your younger grades, it talks about the child that doesn't want to do his work. Okay, it talks about children that sometimes just don't want to give their best effort, and it even discusses how to discipline. How to use discipline in your homeschool. And the other big thing for me when reading this book, and after having read so many books, I'm a huge researcher. It's part of why I started Bookbound Boys, because I researched till there's no end. So I have read homeschooling, how-to homeschool books on each and every facet and approach and style. I totally lost where I was going with that. So the point being that I was saying that I wish I'd found this book first. And one of the things that I liked, got my train of thought back, unschooling. So I had also read some books on unschooling and really understood the concept of learning about what you're interested in and how important that is. In this classical approach, it is okay to study what they want to study. And I'll give you an example. In one of my blog posts, I show you how to do high school homeschool planning. And I already have a pre-purchased curriculum. So the topics are already planned out for you. So for history, we have a plan. But my son says to me, well, Mom, I'm really interested in World War I and World War II. Okay, fine. I don't feel, I understand that the curriculum is just a tool, and I'd rather have him study something that he's interested in studying because he'll internalize it, he'll actually learn it. So this gives you permission to do that. With the well-trained mind, as an example, everything is very laid out, and it doesn't mean that you can't do it that way. But sometimes, like for someone like me, I need that permission to do this or do that, because, well, just like you, I want to make sure that my homeschool is the best it can be. So that was one of the reasons that I was really drawn to it, because I'm like, wow, you mean I can be a classical home educator, but my child can still pursue things that he's interested in? Oh, okay. I didn't know that. I didn't feel like I could do that. And so this book gave me the permission to do that. This book also talks about math and history and literature, and how to approach your literature and what's important in your literature. And that's kind of how, this isn't why Bookbound Boys and my book reviews came to be, but I have these principles and values of what I want my child to get from these books that they're reading. And so that's what I like to do for you. I like to read these fictional books and not just classics, because classics can also be when another approach terms as broken. But certainly our contemporary fiction today is often broken, like the review I just did for Turtles All the Way Down. My feelings about the book were very mixed, but because they used some vulgarity, it turned me off right away, and it wasn't something that I felt my child needed to be subjected to, whether they know about what they were talking about or not. So it talks about that. So even if you don't use a classical approach to teaching, there's this wonderful concepts that they talk about and ideas that really give you food for thought. Same with math, and same with history, and same with learning the dead languages, like Latin. Not necessarily Hebrew, but anyways. So it gives you some food for you to think about in your homeschool education, no matter what approach you choose. And they even talk about the different styles. So they do talk about unschooling. They do talk about Charlotte Mason and unit studies and the traditional approach. This particular book edition is probably fairly old, at least 10 years old. So I don't know if they've come out with a new one. So you need to pick this up. If you're thinking about homeschooling, I would pick this book up, Teaching the Trivium. If you're new to classical education, I'd pick this up. And if you just need some help, you just feel like you need a stronger foundation to build on, I would pick up Teaching the Trivium. You've got a great course of study. It tells you how to implement your family worship. It tells you how to deal with those trouble spots that you're going to have. It tells you how to select certain curriculums or books to read. It tells you how to do that. And it doesn't matter what style or approach that you're taking. It tells you. It helps you out. It's a really wonderful book, and you can probably get it fairly inexpensive now. I don't know. Okay, so Teaching the Trivium, Christian Homeschooling in a Classical Way by Harvey and Lori Bluedorn. You can probably get it at Amazon, I am sure. Don't know, but sure of it. That didn't make any sense. Okay, so thank you so much for watching Book Talk from bookboundboys.com. Subscribe, click on the bell, and subscribe also to the blog. Thank you very much. You guys have a great week. Look forward to being back on YouTube.